Diversity. We're delighted that you've joined us for this session. A couple of housekeeping items. We are going to be recording this. I will put on the record button momentarily so we can share with those who couldn't be with us today. And also, we want this to be an interactive session. So feel free to type in questions in chat. We will monitor that and kind of pause at strategic points during the presentation. So we've started the recording, and again, welcome. What I'd like to do now is go over our agenda. Youngbuck, if you could advance that, thank you. So basically what we're going to be doing, I'm going to introduce the folks who are participating in this conversation. A few words about the lab and what we're doing. Then we're going to talk about the overview of the research findings. I believe everyone should have received a copy of the report. Then we're going to talk about engaging with diverse small suppliers and also the kinds of information that can be provided on web pages. And then we're going to close with some ideas about what we're calling closing the awareness deficit. So first introductions. I'm so delighted to introduce these folks. First, Francesca Grippa, who's the Associate Dean for Research at the College of Professional Studies at Northeastern and is the Executive Director of the lab. My colleague, Youngbuck Ryu, who is co-director of the lab and teaches in our Commerce and Economic Development program. Veronica Cook, who is the Executive Program Director for Supplier Diversity Programs at the University of Connecticut. Veronica, thank you so much for joining us. You have been working in this area for a number of years, and really look forward to hearing your perspective. And then Alan Riddick, who's the Executive Director of Economic Impact and Workforce Inclusion for Procurement Services at Drexel University. Alan, welcome. I know we've chatted about how you kind of grew up in a diverse small business with your dad, and now you were really engaging with so many people internally within Drexel and externally. So that is kind of our panel. I'd also like to just say a word about Catherine Lee, who is our graduate research assistant who did a tremendous amount of the analysis of data that went into the report. So the Lab for Inclusive Entrepreneurship, we've been in operation now for about a couple of years. We have a number of initiatives underway. One area of focus is a 5-year grant from the Economic Development Administration, which is enabling us to provide a fellowship program for cohorts of small business entrepreneurs and also providing business assistance to diverse small businesses in the New England area. The other major focus of the lab is, thankfully, due to funding from the Ewing Marion Kaufman Foundation, a 3-year grant to really amplify our work on supplier diversity in higher education. And we're conducting a number of research projects. We'll touch on that toward the end of the session here. So why don't we jump into the conversation? Last year, we did some work on trying to understand kind of what was going on in terms of supplier diversity in higher education. One finding, no surprise, that despite a tremendous commitment of our institutions to diversity and inclusion, the fact remains that right now only a tiny percentage of our procurement spend is with diverse small businesses. The other thing that we learned was, and we surveyed small business owners, trying to learn about their perceptions, kind of their experience. And one of the things that really popped out was the sense among many of them that they simply didn't know where to look, that they were interested in doing business, interested in competing for business with in the higher education marketplace, but really didn't know where the window was. We kind of use that metaphor, the window. Our websites are windows to diverse stakeholder groups, as all of you know. Uh, but the window for diverse suppliers uh, didn't seem to be open, and we wanted to dig into that with our research. And so that is really what motivated us to do an analysis of websites, particularly in the New England area. And I'm going to really pass this along to my colleague Youngbuk to just give a high level summary because we don't want to spend time today going over lots of data and results with you. We'd rather have you do that. You can read the report. I want to give you some highlights and really engage in the conversation. So, Youngbuk, what did we learn? I believe you're on mute.
Hi everyone. So I'm very pleased to share some of our research findings today. Before speaking about the findings, I would like to express our thankfulness to the Ewing Marian Kofan Foundation's kind support for our research project. Our 3-year project includes a series of the mini projects. So today's presentation is about one of them. So we plan to host additional webinars in the future as well. So once we complete other mini projects. So getting back to our the presentation. So the reason why our team decides to study higher education procurement websites is that we thought a website may be a window for suppliers, as Carl mentioned before. So as we know, the higher education is an anchor institution in their communities, but their websites tend to focus on prospective or current students and their parents or alumni or faculty or staff. So our team was curious about how useful and accessible higher education websites are, specifically for diverse suppliers. Before diving into the research, we conjectures that many universities and colleges might embrace supplier diversity in their procurement system, so that most of them might have supplier diversity specific web page. However, our guess was wrong, at least in the New England region. So we looked into 114 higher education institutions in the New England region. There are more than 300 institutions in the region, but we screened 114 that offer bachelor's degrees or above. We found a dramatic contrast between 22% of websites with higher usefulness and 54% with lower usefulness for diverse suppliers. As you can see in the chart, only 11% had a supplier diversity web page, and another 11% mentioned supplier diversity on their procurement website. On the other hand, 28% did not have a procurement website at all. It's kind of surprising. And 25% had no useful information for vendors. In the previous slide, I talked about more like the usefulness or usability aspect of higher education procurement website. In this slide, I would like to focus on the accessibility dimension, since the website are also a window for everyone, including disability-owned suppliers. In order to check the accessibility, so we use the publicly available online tools such as Wave and Accessibility Checker. So those tools enabled us to examine if the procurement websites are compliant, semi-compliant, or not compliant with Americans with Disabilities Act and Web Content Accessibility Guidelines. We found that only 4% out of 114 institutions were fully compliant. Another 40% were semi-compliant, and 6% were not compliant at all. About half of them were not available because of the absence of procurement website.
Yes. So that is kind of an overview. Francesca, do we have any questions at this point? So just in terms of the research findings, does anybody in our audience here have any questions they'd like us to respond to at this point? Again, you can save questions toward the end. That's perfectly fine as well. All right, looks like we can continue then. So, certainly, as Youngbuck indicated, at least in New England, a very small proportion of the higher education websites that we looked at had web pages that provided that window to diverse suppliers. But that doesn't mean that we didn't find some excellent examples both within New England and outside of New England. And two sites that really, frankly, impressed us with the range of information that they were providing in their window for diverse suppliers was University of Connecticut and Drexel University. And in both instances, and we're delighted that Veronica and Alan are here, they have clearly put in a tremendous amount of thought into opening up that window and building that connection with this diverse supplier audience. So what I'd like to do now is turn to them. And, we started the webinar with kind of the realization that for many diverse suppliers, there's just a lack of awareness, that awareness deficit that we talked about. And what I'd like, Veronica, why don't we start with you? You've interacted with these small, diverse businesses over the years. Have they found that web page that UConn and you have created to be helpful? Kind of give us a little bit of a sense of your perception.
There we go. You can hear me now, right?
Yeah.
Yes. So what I found was that we were engaging with them with the small businesses and minority businesses out in the community, going to outreach events and doing matchmakers and all of that. But we needed to connect them in order to make it most beneficial, to connect them back to the buying professionals that were back in the procurement office. And so we used the website to not only inform them, but also give them a tool to connect directly to those buyers called SMBE Connect. So, they put their information in, and that also gives us an opportunity to make them visible to the rest of our university community, who we are raising the awareness of supply diversity for and partnering with. So we give them that additional resource of these are individuals who have reached in, who have talked to us and said, we are interested in bringing services and products to the university. This makes them visible, and it also gives us an opportunity to connect them onto our Husky Buy system, which allows them to then get the e-solicitations that go out when they go out pertaining to their particular commodities. So that is the usefulness or the benefit that we have of making sure that they get connected, because they're sitting at these events and they're meeting me, they're meeting and in some cases my assistant, but the ones that they really need to talk to are the buyers, the ones that are engaged every day in procuring for the different departments and such. And so this is how we've managed to make sure that that happens.
Yeah, thank you. Alan, what about you? What's been your experience? You talk a lot to many small business owners. Some of them probably feel a little intimidated about how do I do this? How do I even begin? And do you find that your webpage and the information there helps them?
It's our web page was intentional, really, to be a starting point, particularly for starting a relationship. And so one of the things that when we first designed our web page was say, how do we keep it organic? How do we really make sure that we're providing the relevant information? Because we understand that from if a person started a business tomorrow and they went on our website, or I'm sorry, a person started a business yesterday and they went up to our website today, would we be able to help them navigate based off of them having little knowledge on the supplier diversity process and on how to work with Drexel? And also understanding too that we understand that from outside perspective, we're a large organization, we can be complex. Yes. And so understanding how to really break it down to diverse businesses, say, hey, listen, this is where to start. We have a dedicated resource. And here's some key information and partners that we work with in regards to inclusivity.
Yeah, our research, and I think everybody knows this, for many institutions, procurement is decentralized.
Yes.
Yep.
Lots of decision makers. Where do you start? How do you even begin? Some of the people we surveyed, some of the business owners we surveyed were like, literally, I don't even know where to look, and I feel unprepared. I don't even know what the expectations are. I mean, is this your sense, Alan and Veronica, that small business owners are busy people? They can't spend all of their time prospecting for business. Is that your experience as well?
Yes. Yes, it has been, and I see Megan McKay asked a question about whether we just collect information or if it automatically registers them. When small businesses are engaging with us, one of the core values for supply diversity at UConn is that we want to make sure that we educate our community. We want to make sure that we educate our contractors and even our procurement staff. And so we want to educate them in a way that also makes them partners with us. So with those small businesses, when they're reaching in, the outreach events aren't enough, not enough time. Those matchmakers are 10 minutes long. You talk to them for 10 minutes. And so somebody has to as Alan said, we start the conversation with them. And so someone has to follow up with them and have a deeper conversation to find out more about what they want to bring and, where they've been successful, maybe at other institutions, and how we can best help them to do business. And so it can be difficult because we are so large, but to actually take the time, to have someone take the time to help them to navigate not only our supplier diversity website, but also those that are connected with us, like where to go. We are walls without knobs, and so they don't know where the handle is to turn the door to where's the door? How do I start? So we are that 10-minute conversation, and that's fine. That's speed dating, because we can also make follow-up conversations happen to give them more information, and then also to be available to for follow-up questions. but that automatic registration, what happens, Megan, is that the once they register, once they do that SMBE Connect, if they are in fact, once my assistant has verified that they are a small or minority business, registered not only with the state of Connecticut but other entities, we put them on that list because we want to be fair to those that have been underutilized. So only those are put on that site, and then if they are put on that site, they're also sent that invitation to be on our Husky Buy system for e-solicitations that go out. But yeah, that it's not just it's an automatic. It's not just collecting information, it's a connecting tool as well. An email lands on the desk of the buyer who is responsible for the commodity that they are bringing to the university, so that they can follow up with them with a meeting or whatever it is. So there are steps. We want to make sure it's beneficial to that person to take that time to sign up. Hopefully that answered the question. I'm sorry, Alan.
And I would just kind of piggyback on what Veronica was saying. Really, it's, by us providing the information, we understand that we're complex, and what we kind of try to solve through our engagement process is to make sure that we have a good foundation of success. We understand that, and we're very transparent that it can take that there's some opportunities at Drexel that can take, that may not go up to bid for 2-3 years. And we actually encouraged, and we say that, our the suppliers that know the most about us are typically the ones that we tend to do business with us. So we encourage them to research outside of the supplier diversity or inclusion program, but who are the stakeholders in various departments like facilities and communications that are the real drivers in the decision-making process. Carl, from what you said, in higher education, we are decentralized, which means that procurement is for the most part a customer service type of entity in regards to helping facilitate the process for the university to make an educated decision on who to work with. And we add value by bringing diverse businesses to the table, and because diverse businesses tend to be, although smaller in size, they tend to be able to react quicker. If there's a challenge, you can get the CEO of a small business on the phone way much more than a large IT company like a SHI or someone like that. And so it's really kind of just adding value to our procurement program. And to answer the question in regards to connecting directly to buyers at schools and yielding real opportunities, I find that, by connecting to buyers and also connecting to the internal stakeholders and allowing the diverse business to develop that relationship, they tend to come back with opportunity more from when they're developing relationships outside of just the supplier diversity contact or just the actual buyer. So we're very transparent in our program in saying that, a sales cycle can lead to many different entry points. And the more entry points that you have in an organization, the higher probability you have in doing business with that organization. And so, understand where our facilities and some of the priorities that our real estate programs are, have, so you can kind of understand, and when you get on the phone with a stakeholder, you're asking the right questions.
Absolutely. Francesca, do we have any other questions? And then we can move. We want to drill deeper into types of information, but Francesca, any other questions right now?
Yeah. So there was a comment from Jerry Epps that you can always start with the key stakeholders and educate your community about the importance of supplier diversity. And then there is a question from Nadine Pierre-Louis. Do you find that diverse vendors who do register on your site and and connecting them directly to the buyers at your school is yielding real opportunities for them?
I can answer
interesting question.
That question is that I'll answer that question in one way. I have found that statistically, the companies that connect with a stakeholder and stay in contact, I call it the QFR, either with me, we open our doors up to every diverse business, and we will say we will meet with you at least once a quarter. We call it the QFR, the quarterly friend review, and staying engaged like that. So the more chances and different and more opportunities to kind of talk and engage. Because you got to remember, every conversation is asking more and more questions. So you're learning more and more about Drexel each time you engage. You're not going to understand how to, you know, for some commodities, you're not going to know how to work with Drexel right from the bat, from a first call. And you may discover that Drexel might not be the best customer for you. That happens all the time too as well. So it's really just understanding, and there's nothing different from a sales process. It's just making sure that they understand that they have a resource system. And, you know, and if they're having a challenge, I tell suppliers all the time, if you're having a challenge getting inside the door outside of us, let me know, and we can foster a introduction.
So one of the things that I have started doing over the last year, we've had a lot of turnover, as I'm sure many institutions have, with everything with COVID and then coming back, and people making decisions about their life that have removed them. So we've lost quite a few people from our office, and then you know, have new people coming in. But one of the things that stays consistent is supply diversity. It continues rolling on, no matter who comes or who goes. We're continuing to roll on. So one of the things that we're doing is we're meeting supply diversity. Our team meets with our category managers to kind of talk through, as Alan was saying, you know, you're having conversations, and it's bringing in more information. What I wanted to do, and doing the SMB Connect, is I wanted to make sure that the engagement is happening with those suppliers, with those buyers, so that the first time they have a conversation is not when, or they first have an interaction is when they're responding to an RFP or an RFQ or something like that, that they're not just looking at names that they're sending these solicitations out to, but they remember that this, you know, we had a conversation with these companies. And so what we're trying to do is to heighten the chances of, number one, that they are more informed, the small minority businesses are more informed about how our processes run, how to do business with us, all of that. And so the hope is that all of that is going to lend itself to better, more responsiveness to opportunities, more confidence in competing with, you know, those who, because I heard Alan say again, you have those who know the system, the ones that have been doing business for a while, they know our systems already, but there are some who haven't done business yet, and we want to give them an opportunity as well. And so maybe having those conversations with those buyers on a more regular basis to introduce them, at least have the opportunity to introduce themselves and their products is really important to heighten their chances of getting that contract, right? And that's, I mean, everything, we're a public institution, everything has to be transparent. You're going to get it on your qualifications, but at least you know exactly how we operate and why we operate and what our criteria is and all of that, just like those who have been in 5-year contracts with us already. You know, now you're having an opportunity to bring something, some additional stuff like that flexibility, that, you know, that responsiveness, all of that stuff to increase the competitiveness of this particular bid. So we want that process to be more robust, and hopefully this is helping to do that.
Yeah, Veronica, I mean, you want to expand the pool, right?
Absolutely.
You want to expand the pool of people who think they have an opportunity and a chance if it's right for them. And I wonder, Young Buck, why don't we move on? I'd like to just take a look. We identified categories of information that we were seeing on web pages that focused on supplier diversity. You know, some web pages only had 1 or 2 types of information. Others had 10 or 9 types of information. So, Young Buck, do you want to just kind of review sort of the types of information that we came across? And then I want to engage with Veronica and Alan about kind of their perspective on sort of what seems to be really, really valuable from a small business perspective. So, Young Buck, do you want to jump in here?
Okay, so can you see the slide again
Yeah.
now?
Yeah.
So thank you for the great discussion about supply diversity website. So this is a kind of the list of some useful features on higher education procurement website. So this is not complete and exhaustive list, but we can say this is at least kind of useful kind of the features for the website. So as you can see in the list, so we identified 9 types of website components that would be useful to diverse suppliers. So let me just lead through from the first one to the last one. So the first one is the statement of commitment to supplier diversity. So I believe this one makes kind of the diverse suppliers feel more comfortable with navigating the procurement website. And second, information about diverse business certification organizations. So I believe all of us are agreeing to the importance of the certifications. And then number 3, so step-by-step process. So sometimes we need more specific guidance about the procurement process, specifically for the higher education institutions. And number 4, the contact email or form for the diverse small businesses. Sometimes we need a kind of the one direct channel to communicate with the procurement services. And number 5, the listing of current contracts and pending contract opportunities. So this one is somewhat related to the transparency of the procurement process. And then sometimes maybe the vendors are also looking for the contract history as well to find who was actually the successful with winning the contract. And then the next item, so the database of diverse small business information. So we already talked about the decentralized the procurement system in higher education institutions. Sometimes the departments or functions don't know who is diverse owned suppliers, who is non-diverse owned suppliers. And then next item, so information for internal departments on the value of supplier diversity. So in terms of the higher education procurement, sometimes we ignore the internal customers, but they have actual purchasing authority and powers. So we need to pay attention to them. And then the next item is list of outreach events. So as you can imagine, the diverse vendors are always looking for some opportunities to develop their networks. And then the last item, so diversity span dashboard. So this is also somewhat related to the transparency. So we would like to see actual spending, right? So by small business or by the women-owned suppliers or by minority-owned suppliers. So in the next slide, I will show you just a couple of examples. For instance, so this one, the 2 figures are from the University of Connecticut and University of South Florida about the commitment and actual opportunities. And then the next one are from the Harvard University and College of William and Mary and Virginia Commonwealth University. So as you can see, specifically in the VCU case, you can actually play with the spend, the analysis using the business intelligence kind of the platform here. So I will get it back to Carl.
Yeah, what we'd like to do now before closing is make a couple of points about, and Youngo, maybe you can go back to the prior, or that's fine. Clearly, when you look at the report, you'll be able to see these examples of types of information. And we gave just examples of websites where we saw that, whether they were in New England or outside of New England, just so that you could get a sense of what that might look like and what kind of information might be possible to put on a website. As I mentioned earlier, on some of the web pages we looked at, there may have only been 1 or 2 pieces of information. On others, there was a very comprehensive menu of information. So a couple of things I'd like to ask Veronica and Alan. One, I'll start with, when you look at these 9 and your experience in terms of, wow, this is what, obviously this can be, all of these types of information can be of value to a small diverse supplier interested in doing business. But what have you found that really resonates? Like, oh my gosh, this really helps me, make that bridge to Drexel or UConn. I'll start with you, Veronica. If you look at that list, what have you found to be most valuable from the business owner perspective?
Wow. I find it all of these things I find are important. Carl, when I was designing our website for supplier diversity, I wanted it to speak to all the different stakeholders. So all of this that you're speaking of, the statement of commitment, it's a commitment that's made by the University of Connecticut, not just the supplier diversity program. And so that it has to speak to that in procurement. It has to connect back to procurement because we are all a family when we're in these institutions. So looking at each of these, all of them speak together of how to do business with us. We want to be able to teach small and minority businesses how to find the information that they need. Once we've put it on our pages, to walk them through so that they know how to find it on their own. So that, because when you're looking at our contract periods and when they're expiring, it may not be the right time to reach in for something, but we want them to be able to come back and be confident in how they navigate the different pages, and to see how they connect. And so I'll take the time to walk them through them so that they can see how they all connect, because they need to know how to fish, because I'm not always going to be there to fish for them. And so we put the information there where they can get to it. But and also to answer questions, I also want them to go and look at our vendor guide so that they can understand our processes, and then use the time that when they actually have an audience with the buyer, to actually utilize that time wisely in asking questions that aren't in that vendor guide, things that they couldn't have found out by going through our websites. It all has to work together, and we want them to we want there to be an independence that happens as a result of us making sure that all of this information is there. We as institutions stand either from a position of we are proud of what we are doing with our inclusion, or we know we need to do better. And so in order for us to make sure that that is exhibited on our websites, we have to be transparent. And so we make sure that our numbers are out there so that you can see how we're doing. And also you can see in what categories we need to do better. And for our contracts, our businesses that we are contracting with are identified as what they are, either small business, minority business, whatever it is that they are. They are category. We make sure that we identify them with classifications. Again, if you're looking at that, are we proud of that, or do we need to do better? And so it keeps us all aware that this is not just the supply diversity's work to do, but it's the university's work to do. We all have to be mindful that we've made a commitment. That commitment statement can't just be a statement that sits on your website. It has to be something that is that can be activated, that is activated every day. And so we make sure that that's out there, but also that all of our information is, if you are a university department, you have you can tab into something, find information that's pertinent to you. In different, where are our current contracts? Where are our current opportunities? Those things are important because, yes, we don't want to waste the time of the vendors that are trying to do business with us. If this is not a good time because the contract is a 5-year contract, and it has possible extensions, we want to make sure that they know that, so that they're knocking on someone else's door until they know it's time to come back to us and knock on our door, because now it's time, that solicitation's going out. And also look at ask us for information about what did that previous RFP require, what was the criteria, so that they're ready next time it comes around. If they're not ready already, that they're ready and feel confident that they can compete in this area, and they can go for that. So all of this is, I can't point one that's less important than another, because it's really all important that we make sure that our departments, when we're saying departments, because we have an e-learning course that we expect that they'll take to partner with us and know what supply diversity is all about. When we say departments, we need you to, when you're going out and you're using your Pro card, to be mindful that we are an inclusive university, and that you should be thinking that about the small and minority businesses that have reached in, number one, and that are certified in the state of Connecticut, number two, because we're a state agency and have to use our state certifications. We give them the tools to do that, and we do that give them that on our website. So we're tooling everybody and making everybody aware, so that this is a partnership, a teamwork effort, and it doesn't just sit in the lap of one area of your university. And I know that was a long answer, but that was
Veronica, you nailed it. And I do want to call attention to your website. One thing that UConn site does very well is both communicate to both the external and internal audience of supplier diversity. Probably better than I've seen from a university or corporate site, and really kind of, if you look at UConn site, you when you go on it, it feels welcoming, that there's a strong program here, and that the program is going to guide even internal stakeholders on how to be part of your university's supplier diversity program. So you guys nailed that on your site. I think when we were crafting ours, I probably looked at your site a little bit before putting ours together. I just want to kind of put that out there. But to answer the question that Carl said, it does encompass all what Veronica was talking about, as well as one thing that happened at Drexel was that we were in a sense challenged by our communication team. We said, hey, listen, whatever you guys have, we will go ahead and do it. And so, having that type of support is so important from a communication perspective. For one, they can kind of communicate at speed, relevant information. In higher ed, we're all busy, but communication has a unique skill that I've learned, and be able to kind of take information and put it together in a way that a community can understand it. And so, one of the things that, all of our programs are nothing without our communication team, because we really rely on them to put the information out there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Ellen,
that's true.
One thing that I'm hearing from both of you is it's important to get the information out there so that a vendor can prepare themselves adequately and become a little bit knowledgeable, right, about the process as they start to engage with the institution. One thing I love personally about the Drexel site, the webpage, is your step-by-step process.
Yes.
Like it really lays out, how do I engage with Drexel?
Yes.
And I can do that on my own. It's very straightforward, and it gives me, as a potential vendor, that sense of confidence that I know what I have to do and how I need to prepare. So just calling that out, Alan, I think you folks did a terrific job in that regard.
And just full transparency, Carl, I'm glad that you said that, because that is something that, and looking at Drexel's website, that is something that I know would be very helpful on ours as well. One of the things that is when you have a supply diversity program at any institution, there's not a lot of resource given to that. So you don't have, you can't, just that back and forth. It's good that you are putting it there so that people know initially when they start that engagement, they know how to move through it. And I think that setting it out like that is beautiful. And so if you happen to see that somewhere on the UConn site, don't be surprised. Going forward. Yeah, we learn from each other. I think that we should always be learning from each other, and it makes us all we're not in this by ourselves. And I love the network that we establish as supply diversity practitioners. And I love this forum that Carl Youngbuck and that you've put together to even inform even more institutions, so we continue to talk to each other and bring that creativity out to help each other, because ultimately we're helping the same communities. We're
Yes.
helping, you know, the communities that we are striving to get business for and lend itself to our local economy. So this is really important. So thank you.
And to add on, you know, on that too as well, one of the things that, you know, what's beautiful about our organizations is that, you know, universities have a lot of smart people. So
Yes.
there will be times where we'll come across a supplier that say, you know what, I just started my business 2 weeks ago. I got to get more informed. What type of, you know, where can I get help at? And helping even those businesses navigate with some of our local inclusion programs, our
Yes.
business cohorts is another kind of aspect of this process that is important. Not every supplier is at the scale and capacity to work with a drugstore or UConn yet.
That's right.
But we want to help them get there if they're willing to put in the work with us.
Yes. There's someone with their hand up. Tori, I believe. Tori, someone?
Tori Space, yeah. We can.
Do you want to
Yeah,
wait?
feel free to type in questions here. I think, you know, Alan, you mentioned the point that obviously for many institutions, when you're working on the public website of the college or university, that connection with the communication team, with the web team is important, obviously. And so it very much is a team effort to put those resources, those tools, that information together in a way that is easily accessible. So I think that's a really great point, that this is not, you have to put some thought into it. But
Yes.
again, what strikes us is that there are so many good examples, right?
Yes.
And so many types of information that don't take a huge amount of effort
They
to
don't.
put out there for this audience. Francesca, do we have any other questions that you can see?
No, but Archie Taylor from Boston Children's Hospital had a request for clarification about the QFR, if it's quarterly financial report or if
It's a internal slogan I created because I always want to have a warm, welcoming door to our business community. I call it the quarterly friend review. And so we're not doing business yet. There is no quarterly business review, but it's a quarterly friend review. Check in once every 90 days. Ask me what's new with drugs. So I'm going to ask you what's new with your organization. If we don't have a hit or win when we first engage each other, let's keep on talking and let's continue the dialogue. You'd be surprised how many times, you know, I've talking to suppliers, you know, 3 or 4 times, and then we finally get a win because we did an introduction and an internal stakeholder reached back out and wanted to meet that particular business. So it's our job is CGPT. I love acronyms. CGPT, connecting good people together, and really it's, you know, I think Veronica and we had some of the best jobs in the world because we work around innovative businesses all day. And a lot of smart people.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. Again, thank you for, love that, connecting good people together. That's a wonderful tagline.
Yes.
And, you know, Francesca, do you want to kind of share some closing thoughts here? You know, again, Alan, Veronica, thank you very much for sharing your perspectives. This is such important work, and we can make incremental improvements in the way we communicate opportunities. That's very clear based on our research. Let's view it as an opportunity. So, Francesca, I'm going to hand it over to you just for some closing kind of thoughts.
And Carl, before you do that, I just want to, because you're looking at our website, and whereas I may be the brainchild, there's a person that sits behind the scenes and actually puts this stuff on this website to make, you know, when I come up with something, he's, you know, graphically he'll put something together for me and say, yeah, I can do that. And that's our web person, Jeremiah Ma. And I just want to just give a shout out to him because he is the people that work behind the scenes, they don't always get that recognition, but and our IT department also working with them, like you said, tap into those resources that are inside your institution to help you to build these things, because you don't have to go out to these outside entities and spend a whole lot of money. You can use the resources that are available to you within your university. It's valuable. And I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, what did I? This has been amazing. Thank you so much, Veronica and Alan. Thank you to everyone. We, as you know, Tori speaks from is an example. We worked together in the past, and I think that you have a comment, Tori, about connecting businesses to additional entities, if you want, groups and diversity councils. There is more than we can do to connect. So we are happy with at the Lab for Inclusive Entrepreneurship to be the bridge of these conversations. And I know we have a wonderful advisory council that we will do more together to bring more of these conversations virtually and in person. And speaking about in person, we'll have a supplier diversity symposium. The second, we had one last year, and we'll have one in June. Will be in person and also hybrid online for more people to join. So stay tuned. Really, with this study, we really made the case that supplier diversity website really can make a difference in moving the needle towards more inclusive procurement practices. And so deciding what to share, what kind of information, how to share this information, really serves as a way to build trust in the community, to demonstrate that there is a real commitment. So just saying that we, stay tuned, because we thank you to the Kaufman Foundation grants. We're continuing to learn more about diverse small businesses. How can we help them? What are the challenges? How can we work together? So we're continuing to collect more information. We also we will be more opportunity to hear the voices of procurement teams with structured interviews, focus groups, and surveys that we are conducting. So there will be more to share, but I really think this was an amazing opportunity. I hope the people who have joined will want to know more. And stay connected. Alan and Veronica, really, I look forward to seeing you at NAP, and I'm sure there will be more Northeastern colleagues there to join and learn more about each other. This is it's been a great opportunity to learn. As you see here, this was from last year, the Supplier Diversity Symposium that we held. We're going to hold again at the Cabral Center right in the center of our Boston campus. You will be receiving invitation, and we look, forward to learning more from each other.
Excellent.
All right.
Thank
and what I'd like to do in closing is just again thank Veronica and Alan for sharing their perspectives. Feel free to follow the lab's work on our LinkedIn page, and we will send a recording of this session to everybody who's registered, and we look forward to moving this work forward. There's just tremendous opportunity to make tremendous steps forward in small ways and large ways. And creating a web page may seem like a small way, but it can have tremendous impact. So thank you everyone for joining us. Have a great rest of the day. And let's move that needle forward and close the awareness deficit. Take care now.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Hey, Youngblood, you're turning off the recording, right?